Live from the studios of CTV in Staten Island, New York. Welcome to In the Bleachers, the sports show for the sports fan. Hi, everybody. I'm Rosen. And coming to the studio in a few seconds is the man, the myth, the legend himself with the most awesome hat I've ever seen, Mr. Jaime, the sportsman Hixson. How are you doing, Jaime?
Oh, not bad.
That is an awesome hat, by the way.
Thank you. Hey, guys, sorry that I had to make my way in a little late. Unfortunately, we're running on autopilot again, and I had to make sure that we were signed on for real. But we do thank you for joining us. We're going to see if we can try and make it through this hour. We certainly hope that you had a very nice Memorial Day last Monday. I know I certainly did because, as you probably saw, we had this really special show where we had Frank Shorter and a bunch of the guys from the Staten Island running community, and it was a wonderful time had by all. Otherwise, things are pretty much the same, so now it's back to the business at hand, which is what happened this past week in the world of sports, specifically the finals taking front and center in the NBA and the NHL.
Yes, definitely. It's really amazing. Let's start in the NBA. Before the Cavaliers even got into the finals, of course, they had to take care of business against the Boston Celtics. They win Game 4, 112-99 with LeBron James' 34-point performance. Then Game 5 takes place, and LeBron and company, they win 135-102. And not only that, LeBron James passes Michael Jordan on the all-time point scoring list. And as for the Golden State Warriors, they took care of business last Monday against San Antonio, 129-115, 36-point performance by Stephen Curry. And the fact that Golden State led by as much as 22 points to head to their third straight NBA Finals. Now, Game 1 took place this past week. And let me tell you, this was all Warriors all day in this game, to the point where, Stephen Curry, 20 points and 6 3-pointers. This was, they were basically lighting up the scoreboard with 3-pointers like they were going out of style. And for LeBron to go into this game on such, only had 6 days, but also on top of it, had to deal with an issue at his residence in Los Angeles.
Just when you think things could not get any worse with race relations in this country, LeBron's house in L.A. winds up getting vandalized by a couple of idiots who wound up spray painting the N-word.
I know, on his own home. It's despicable. Whether, it's just, I'm sorry if I brought up such a political issue, but, the fact that this happened to him just before the biggest game of his career, that had to play a part in his mind right there, because he was thinking about the safety of his family back in Ohio as well when this happened too. So all these things confounded, but he still played. He didn't use that as an excuse, but you had to think that was definitely on his mind. And he did come out with a good performance though. 20 points, 15 rebounds, 8 assists, and but it was Kevin Durant who came up with 6 slam dunks in the first half. You should have saw those slams that he made. And you know what? This was the 5th 30-point performance of Kevin Durant's career in the postseason. And he went 14 of 20 for 26 in this game. Was yet another great performance with him and Curry together. And this is why the Warriors last July made the deal to get KD for this moment.
Mm-hmm. It really is amazing a difference that another superstar makes on this team. Now the Warriors have themselves set up to not only win their second title in the last 3 years, but actually sweep their way to a second title in the last 3 years. And when you think about it, look at all of the final scores. Every single game in this entire playoff, which for them has consisted of now 14 games in a row, which is now an NBA record, except for 2. Every single Warriors victory has been double-digit victories. That just goes to that only shows two things. One, the Warriors play terrific defense. Everybody talks about the number of points that they score, but you have to have some lockdown defenders to try and pave the way for your offense. That's where Klay Thompson comes in. That's number one. Number two, the way they pass the ball around, everyone gets involved. And it seems like each night there's a different guy that's becoming the star of a particular game. If it's not Curry, it's KD. If it's not KD, it's Klay Thompson. And then you've got your role players. You've got guys like Sean Livingston, Draymond Green, and for example, last night in Game 2, Ian Clark, who wound up hitting a couple of big shots for them that wound up helping the Warriors pad their lead.
In fact, Curry had his first career triple-double last night. Look at this. 32 points, 11 assists, 10 rebounds. Durant, 33 points, 13 rebounds, 6 assists, 5 blocks. Combined, 65 points combined out of the 132 points that they scored.
Yep, and speaking of triple-doubles, LeBron wound up recording his 8th career triple-double in an NBA Finals. He just tied Magic Johnson's record. But just to give you an idea how clueless some people can be when it comes to the game of basketball, in the post-game interviews, some reporter asked LeBron, do you think you need to protect your home court advantage going into games 3 and 4?
Of course we do. What kind of question is that? Of course we got to protect at home. We got to do our best at home. But it's still, it's still stupid to even ask that.
From the category of duh. This LeBron just took one look at the guy and asked him, "Are you a smart guy? Are you a smart guy?"
Did you see what happened last night? Actually, after the game was over and LeBron was trying to leave the court, there was a fight that actually broke out in the stands.
I can believe that.
And ABC just had a little footage and then they cut away from it altogether.
Mm-hmm.
And LeBron was just standing there witnessing this taking place. And I wouldn't be shocked he didn't get involved, which thankfully he was smart not to get involved.
Yeah, we're not trying to have another brawl in Auburn Hills situation like over 10 years ago.
Oh, yeah, Meta World Peace. Well, at the time, Ron Artest, now a.k.a. Meta World Peace, had a little bit of an incident that, believe me, you could probably still get the YouTube video clips for, but it was not a smart decision on his part, and it cost him dearly. So LeBron was smart not to get involved in this instance.
Yeah.
And last night, too, this was a first in NBA Finals history. 2 players in the same Finals game having a triple-double.
Yeah.
That's never been done, too. And
by the way, did you happen to catch Rihanna on the sidelines in Game 1?
No.
Rihanna was on the sidelines
for J.R. Smith?
Well, whether she was there for J.R. Smith or for somebody else, a lot was made about her being a little bit on the strong side, if you know what I mean. Supposedly, there was some comments about her gaining weight. I don't know if maybe she's expecting a child. I don't know if she maybe just as easily let her hair down. But for some reason, this body shaming that's been going on involving her and other women, not just celebrities, but all women in general, gaining even the slightest bit of weight has led to this continuous body shaming that's become really, really tiresome to even discuss and hear about.
Just leave the woman alone, and she's not there for that BS. She's there to enjoy a basketball game. So stop badgering her and stop making these stupid, outlandish statements and let the woman just live her life. But anyway, going back to Game 2, the 3-pointers, that's another thing that's had a profound impact for the Warriors.
It's been Curry, it's been Klay Thompson, it's been KD, it's been role players like Ian Clark,
Zaza Pachulia
as well. Sean Livingston taking lobs from KD and going for slam dunks. Guys like them have been just masterful at moving the ball around and getting open shots for people. And what about the way Steph Curry was taking LeBron off the dribble? Did you see the way?
Did you see that layup that he made?
Off the dribble and just breaking down the defense. Not just breaking down the defense, breaking down the wall of the defense, breaking down the walkway of the defense. That's called creating your own shot right there. And Steph Curry has become a master at breaking down a defense off the dribble.
My favorite is the right-hand layup that he made, at the end of the game. Just the way he goes through the lane in the paint. He is masterful at that. And did you see, at the charity stripe, he didn't miss a single shot. All 14 at the charity stripe.
He's an 85 to 90% shooter.
And on top of it, collectively, the Warriors were 18 of 43 from beyond the arc, which played a huge part. That's besides the defense, as you mentioned earlier. Their three-point shooting, the fact that they have a great and diverse bench, that's what they have. And the first game, they only turned the ball over 4 times.
Yeah.
Which is an NBA Finals record, by the way.
Yep. And then in game 2, they had a little trouble taking care of the basketball in the first quarter, but in between the first and second quarters, Steve Kerr, who, by the way, made his triumphant return from a back injury.
I'm so happy.
First time he's back on the sideline since game 2 of the Portland series. Just did his in-between quarters adjustments and said, look, we got to start taking care of the basketball, and that's exactly what they did.
I know. And even when Cleveland was within 10 points, it didn't matter at the end. They had that screwed up turnover at one point in the second half that really turned things around too. And
whatever Cleveland threw at them, Golden State had an answer. That was the X factor in this game. The Warriors took care of the basketball better from the second quarter on, and they wound up answering every single run that the Cavaliers made against them. And they were just deadly from three-point range. I mean, the number of attempts that they took, 43, that's a lot of attempts, but you look at the percentage. They shot roughly 40% from three-point range, which is great if you're a long-range guy. Not only that, but
they make impossible three-pointers, not just at the line. You can see they can make 30-footers.
They can also make shots from mid-range. And not necessarily mid-range, but they can also make shots from mid-court, I should say.
It's just, they are so deadly. But the problem with Cleveland is you can't just rely on LeBron James or Kyrie Irving or Kevin Love, who've also contributed with double-digit points. The rest of the bench has been missing. Where is J.R. Smith? Where is Darren Williams? Where's Kyle Korver, who they acquired from Atlanta? Where are all the other role players that are supposed to be contributing? They are not. They are absent. And that's the problem. They need to start contributing, especially coming up Wednesday. They got a huge Game 3 in Northeast Ohio.
Yeah.
They better come correct in their hometown and do something for those Cavalier fans and for the sake of basketball, because I do not want this to be a sweep. I want to see this go 7 games.
And you think the fans were complaining when they thought that none of the games were competitive? Well, Golden State has basically made a mockery, not just of this series, this entire playoff. Dare I say that the Warriors are going to sweep their way to the NBA title? There's never been a sweep towards an NBA title in NBA playoff history that I know of.
How about any sport? There's never been a sweep.
Could Golden State be the first team to sweep their way towards a championship?
They're 2 games away from it. They got to win basically Wednesday and Friday. So if they take care of business in both games, before this week is out, we could have the new NBA champions second time out of the last 3 years. And then, of course, we're going to hear questions about was there any issues in the locker room, in the Cleveland locker room? Is LeBron James this or that? That's going to end up happening. They're going to question the Cavaliers team if they
Here's
lose.
another question to ask. What happens if the Warriors do win the title? Does this mean that all of the Kevin Durant haters can start giving him his props for winning that championship, or is it going to continue because he couldn't get it done in Oklahoma City?
Okay, I'm going to address this in a few ways. One, I don't know how any person of sane mind can even hate Kevin Durant. Second off, this is a guy who's one of the most profound players in the game today. Three, Kevin, if it wasn't for Katie, getting Kevin Durant was the missing ingredient that got the Warriors to this point. And you know what? He had to shoulder the load a lot in Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
So you can't really hate him. You know, between him and Westbrook, they had to shoulder most of the load on that team.
He came really close twice with Thunder. Once when they lost to the Heat, and the second time last year. But now, the way I see it,
The Thunder weren't in it last year. It was the Warriors.
I'm talking about the Western Conference Finals.
Oh, the Western Conference. Oh, yes. But I'll tell you, Kevin Durant was the missing green. Because remember, last year at this point, the Warriors were up 3-1. They were just a victory away from ending Cleveland and getting their second straight title. Mm-hmm. Then all of a sudden, LeBron James has a come-out performance in games 5 and 6. That forces a Game 7, along with Kyrie Irving making that crazy three-pointer in Game 5 that got it all started. And that's where Sean Livingston wasn't contributing, and the rest of the team. That's where last July the Warriors made that amazing deal to get KD for 2 years, and now it's paying off dividends. It's really paying off massive dividends. And Steve Kerr, I'm happy that he's back.
Yeah. Steve Kerr is a great coach. You know why? Because one, he's a former shooting guard who won 4 titles with the Bulls and the Spurs. He had a brilliant career as a shooter, a very underrated shooter, a guy whose game really stepped up when he played with Michael and Scottie Pippen and Dennis Rodman those 5 years on the Bulls. His star has shined so much more now that he's become a head coach in this game.
He's a player's coach.
He is the quintessential player's coach. He's got the right team at the right time with the right players. As far as Kevin Durant is concerned,
those haters are idiots.
Kevin Durant did exactly what he was supposed to do, which was exercise his free agent rights. Was it hurtful towards OKC that he left to go chase a championship in Oakland? Yes. When you think about it, though, should we really be surprised? He saw that the grass was greener on the other side. The other side just so happens to be the Bay Area. And yes, it is a business decision. He got a 1-year contract. And the way things are going right now, if he wins that championship, something tells me he's going to have a long career in the Bay Area.
Yep.
That's one thing.
But also the fact is he doesn't have to shoulder the load. As I was mentioning earlier, when he was in OKC, everything was on him and Westbrook. Mm-hmm. This time, it's not just him. He's got other players to help with that load. You have Curry. You have Thompson. You have Draymond Green.
Thompson, Green, Durant, and the role players that the Warriors have. Sean Livingston, Ian Clark, Leandro Barbosa. When you think about it, he's in the right situation. And he's developed something that he was criticized for not having when he played for Oklahoma City. A mean streak. He's become more edgy in the post-game locker rooms. He's become more assertive on the floor. He's got it going on right now.
And he can shoot from three-point range, which is unbelievable, too. Because that's the whole thing about Golden State, is the ability to shoot from beyond the arc. And he's developed that this year even better than I've seen with OKC. So
that's another thing, though. And also, if the Warriors win the title this year, if KD decides to sign a long-term deal with the Warriors, they're going to have a very, very, very long run as a championship contender. We could be seeing the modern-day Celtics at work here. Maybe they'll win 2 or 3 titles in a row. Who knows?
And become a dynasty.
And turn into a dynasty. I'm not sure if it would actually turn into Celtics proportions, because the Celtics had the real dynasty. They won 8 titles in a row. I'm not sure if the Warriors can approach that, but the way things are going right now, everything is set up for the Warriors to make a very long run. And 2 years from now, they're going to have their own brand new arena in San Francisco.
Much better arena than what they got at Oracle in Oakland right now.
Although Oracle has a little bit of a charm to it. I mean, when you walk into that arena, it's really loud, and the fans are just beautifully supportive towards the Warriors. Can they get the same exact thing in San Francisco like the Giants are getting at AT&T Park? Only time will tell, but right now, the Warriors have a great thing going.
They're going to be embraced no matter if they're in San Fran or they stay in Oakland. They are the Bay Area team. Now, as for the NHL with the Stanley Cup playoffs, the Pittsburgh Penguins, of course, defeated the Ottawa Senators. They won 2-1 Game 6 with actually it was Ottawa that won 2-1. With Hoffman getting the slap shot through traffic off Frederick Claesson to put the Senators a minute and 34 seconds ahead in the third, and they won 2-1 to force Game 7. Then Game 7 comes for all the marbles. Pittsburgh, Ottawa, in Steeltown, and Chris Kunitz, who had to overcome a lower body injury that he sustained during the season, gets a huge shot from outside the circle, past Craig Anderson, 5 minutes, 9 seconds, into double overtime. Pittsburgh goes into their second straight Stanley Cup Finals. They win 4-3. Then the other team that they're facing, the Nashville Predators, Game 6 against the Anaheim Ducks. It's 3-all after Cam Fowler ties it about 8:52 the third period. Then all of a sudden Colton Sissons gets the go-ahead goal. And, of course, gets with about 6 minutes left. And then 2 empty netters by Forsberg and another player in Nashville. And they win 6-3, eliminating the Anaheim Ducks.
And then came the Stanley Cup Finals.
Game 1.
Nashville had such a golden opportunity to steal Game 1. But what happens? Pittsburgh made the biggest plays with the biggest stars.
Yes. In fact, this was one of the oddest victories you could ever think of. Imagine winning a game with only a total of 12 shots total on goal, and yet winning 5-3. That's right, folks. That literally did happen for the Pittsburgh Penguins in their home stadium. They were up 3-0 in the beginning of the game. Then they go 37 consecutive minutes without a single attempt or shot on goal. The entire second period, in fact, which has never, ever happened in the history of the Penguins franchise, going all the way back to the days of Mario Lemieux. Mm-hmm. This has never happened where they've gone an entire period without a single attempted shot on goal. That's how good Pecorini was, at that point. But and the fact is, they were outshot by Nashville, and still Nashville loses, even when they tie the game up when they're down 3-0.
Haven't we seen this script before, where the team that has the least shots on goal still comes away with the victory? That only proves it's not how many shots a team takes, it's the quality of the shots and what they do with them.
And the person responsible for the game winner, Jake Yensel, it went into this with an 8-game goal drought. And finally gets the game winner by Pecorini, 3:17 left in regulation, along with the Nick Bonino empty netter. They win 5-3, Pittsburgh, so they're up 1-0. Then comes Game 2, and the script was completely different. The total shots that Pittsburgh had in the first game altogether, they did that in Game 2 in the first period. They were able to get 12 shots on goal. So they obliterated that and had more attempted shots on goal in Game 2. But at the end of the day, it was a 3-goal flurry in the third period, and for Pittsburgh in about a 2-minute span, and they win 4-1. Again, Jake Yensel gets the go-ahead goal. 2 consecutive games he scores, both game winners. And it's just unbelievable. And I just feel bad for Nashville in this one. The only person who scored was Pontus Aberg, who got a goal in the last round for them for the Predators against the Anaheim Ducks.
And then there was Game 3, and history was made in Game 3 because it was the first time that the Stanley Cup Finals made their way to the state of Tennessee, Music City to be exact. And boy, were the fans waiting so patiently for this game. This was a game. This literally was a game that was 19 years in the making. The first Stanley Cup Finals game to be played in Nashville, and
Took the words out of my mouth.
Yep, and the Predators broke out in a huge way.
Yeah, it was Roman Josi, their big-time two-way scoring defenseman, and Frederick Godot, 42 seconds apart in the second period. And boom, they basically get the whole thing going. And Josi also had 2 assists in this game. Craig Smith and Matthias Ekholm also scored. They ended up winning the game 5-1. And they were down 1-0 initially when Jake Yensel yet again gets another goal for the 3rd straight game off the rebound past the 6'5" Finnish goaltender Pekka, who honestly has been responsible for the reason that Nashville has gotten as far as they've gotten in this year. One of the top 5 goaltenders in goals against average. And going into this game, Rinne had 0 career victories against Pittsburgh.
Yep.
And yet he finally broke through that glass ceiling and got that first victory in Smashville, as they call it.
Yeah.
And they won 5-1. And they get some big celebrities. Like, they had Martina McBride actually do the national anthem. And who was there? Keith Urban and Nicole Kidman are actually Predators fans. Mm-hmm. They were at the game. And so is Carrie Underwood, who, by the way, is married to the captain of the Predators.
Yeah, Mike Fisher.
That's right. So,
did you hear about what happened leading up to Game 3? The fight that broke out in at the bar, not too far from the arena.
The 2 knucklehead moronic brothers.
It just so happens that the ex-Jets head coach, Rex Ryan, and his brother Rob got into a fist fight against each other at a Nashville bar. Whether they were having another case of sibling rivalry or whether they were drunk as a skunk, who knows? But
it's
once again,
stupid.
These guys have to make complete idiots out of themselves.
It's not nothing new. They are both morons. And by the way, Johnny Gaudreau, who got that shot, was a wrister, that broke the 1-1 tie. And what was awesome, the fact the screen by Ian Cole that helped Johnny Gaudreau beat Matt Murray glove side. Mm-hmm. And then Phil Kessel, how about that unbelievable stop that Rinne made off Phil Kessel?
Yeah.
His wrister from the right circle. And then Subban guaranteed. He literally guaranteed that Nashville was going to win this game. And he came through on that guarantee.
Let's see if history can repeat itself, because tonight is that all-important Game 4. This is the swing game, as they call it, for both teams.
By the way, after Game 3 happened, both Subban and Crosby met on the ice. We're jawing at each other. And Crosby said to Subban, "Your breath smells."
Is that the best that he could come up with?
I don't know where that. Even when Subban was actually interviewed by the Pierre Braun, the guy who's done an amazing job in between the ice, interviewing both teams during this playoffs. Subban was kind of befuddled, like, really? I put Listerine in my mouth. I don't know where he came up with my breath stinks. But anyway, yeah, tonight is true. Game 4 tonight, 8:00, on NBC channel. Basically, Nashville has to win this to force a Game 6 back home. Mm-hmm. We got to see more catfish, folks. That's right. I'm talking about the infamous catfish that the Nashville fans throw on the ice every time the Predators scored. 5 catfish were on the ice.
Well, leave it to the fans to come up with something creative. Hey, Detroit fans had the octopus. Florida fans, both of them, had the rubber rats at the old Miami Arena. Now Nashville fans have the catfish.
Well, hey, it's an homage to their southern cooking.
Well, let me put it this way. At least you won't see any of the New York fans do anything that silly. You won't see Ranger fans throwing any objects onto the ice unless they're hats to commemorate a hat trick.
How about a pizza on the ice or bagels?
It's just a waste of money there.
And good food. Anyway, No, that's true. That's the only time we ever throw anything. Or if we're stupid, beer bottles. Well,
Well, if they throw beer bottles, then that's cause for ejecting the fans from the game and having them banned from the arena forever.
actually, most of the beers that they sell at the arenas are plastic, actually, nowadays.
Even if it's plastic bottles, that could still hurt somebody.
It's stupid anybody to do that. But it's just tonight. If Pittsburgh wants to win this, they got to have Crosby and Malkin got to make attempted shots on goal. They went the entire third game without a single attempted shot on goal, which has never happened before.
Yep.
So right there, they have to get involved tonight, and they got to get involved early and often for them to win. If Nashville wants to win, keep doing the same thing. Bring up the intensity on defense, stymie Pittsburgh on the power play, and basically Pecorini make those crazy plays and stops that he did in Game 3. They do all that, and we see Forsberg make some awesome goals. I'm thinking Nashville's going to win tonight, and they're going to force a Game 6.
Well, just to give you an idea about how the finals have been sweeping the fans up, just recently the fans voted on NHL.com for the greatest single Stanley Cup champion in NHL history. And the winner just so happened to be
Detroit?
close. The Edmonton Oilers. But not just the Oilers franchise. It was the 1984-85 Edmonton Oilers, which had Gretzky and Yari Curry and Mark Messier and so many great stars. Grant Fuhrer tending goal as well. That Oilers team went 15-3 in that year's Stanley Cup Stanley Cup playoffs, I should say. And Wayne Gretzky had 30 assists, 47 points in the playoffs.
What?
30 assists, 47 points in 18 playoff games. That is a testament to Wayne Gretzky's greatness. That's why they called him the Great One.
Well,
the
in
other
Canada,
team,
he's revered so much, but Canada itself has still got to be reeling for the fact that not a single Canadian team made it to the Stanley Cup Finals yet again this year, and they still have not had a championship since the '93 Canadiens.
You were on the right track, though, because the Red Wings, their championship team from the 1997-98 season, they came in 6th place. In fact, they did a poll, the 10 greatest Stanley Cup champions of all time. The Oilers came in first for their 85 team. They also came in 4th for the 1987-88 squad and 5th for the 86-87 squad. And the other teams that made the list...
Please tell me the Islanders at least made that list too.
The 1991-92 Penguins came in 2nd.
Oh, that was Mario Lemieux, and you had Jaromir Jagr. You know,
The 1976-77 Canadiens, who won 60 games in the regular season and 12 out of 14 playoff games to take the cup. Then there was the Oilers, the 88 Oilers. Then the 87 Oilers. Then there was the Red Wings from 98.
in fact, they're the last team to win back-to-back titles, and that's what Pittsburgh's trying to attempt, to be the first team since the Red Wings.
In fact, the Canadiens had 2 teams on that list, including the 1978 champions that came in 8th place. Even one of the Islander teams made the list, but it was the 82-83 Islanders that came in 7th place.
That was the team that was the last Stanley Cup championship that the Islanders won, because they won 4 consecutive titles, which is tough to do. It's repeating as a Stanley Cup champion is probably one of the toughest things to do besides of any of the 4 sports.
Just to give you an idea about that Islander team, that 83 Islander team wound up sweeping that young Oilers squad. The Islanders shut out the Oilers in a combined 7 out of the 12 periods that were played in that short series. And Billy Smith, the great Islander goalie, was the MVP of that series. He wound up taking the Conn Smythe Trophy. And for the record, the 1983-84 Oilers, which avenged that previous loss to the Islanders, came in 9th place. And the 10th best team, the 2001-2002 Detroit Red Wings, which means that famous 94 Ranger team, and either of the 3 Devils teams never even made the list. The only New York team was the 83 Islanders.
Which is really something considering the 94 team. That was the first time that they broke the curse of 40. And you had players like Boom, and you had Messier, Brian Leach, Adam Graves, Mike Richter at goaltender. Like, you had an all-star team right there.
Which means 4 of the Oilers championship teams and 2 each of the Canadiens and Red Wings squads wound up making the list, along with the 83 Islanders and, let me correct myself. It was the 4 Oilers teams, 2 of the Canadian squads, and 2 of the Red Wings squads, in addition to the 92 Penguins and the 83 Islanders that made that top 10 list.
Well, I'm hoping tonight that Nashville can take care of business. Remember, 8 o'clock tonight, Game 4, NBC, Stanley Cup Finals, Pittsburgh in Smashville, or a.k.a. Nashville. And I'm thinking tonight, my prediction of who will sing the national anthem, because every time Nashville has their home game, they always get a country music star. I'm hoping it's going to be Luke Bryan maybe tonight, or Garth Brooks.
Well, we'll see.
You know, they had Martina. I'm thinking they're going to go really big. And maybe, Faith Hill and Tim McGraw.
Possibly.
That would be...
Leave it to Nashville to bring their share of celebrities over to the arena. Speaking of entertainment, last night there was some sports entertainment that took place because they had Extreme Rules going on.
For the WWE, that's right. It was live... last night in Baltimore, at their famous arena. And it was Kalisto who defeated Apollo Crews in the kickoff match. This is really unbelievable. I hate the kickoff match. I think it's downright disrespectful. It's like the type of matches where they just don't think much of you and just, here, we're just going to give you a match anyway just to keep you quiet from complaining. But nonetheless, Kalisto beats Apollo Crews via pinfall after Apollo was distracted by his manager, Titus O'Neil. I'm not even. Titus O'Neil has his new stupid gimmick now, where he's an agent and all that, helping people trying to get successful.
And from what I understand, he's also holding press conferences after matches. Is that true?
It's yet another ridiculous storyline that WWE, unfortunately, is shoving down our collective throats. Then the Intercontinental title match. The Miz actually wins the match against Dean Ambrose. The crazy situation was, it looked like Maurice slaps the Miz in the face. That was just a distraction right there to make Dean Ambrose think the two of them are having some friction and all that.
Yeah.
And then Dean does something to the Miz that was not really cool. I forgot exactly. But basically, he did something that was a disqualifying move. The referee was about to disqualify Dean Ambrose. Then all of a sudden, the referee stops from making that decision, and the Miz takes that opportunity and puts the skull-crushing finale on Dean Ambrose. And the Miz pins Dean 1, 2, 3 to win the championship. Now he's a 7-time Intercontinental Champion.
Say what you will about the guy, but The Miz has carved out a really, really solid career with that company. And to think, he came from humble beginnings.
The real world, New York. That's where he developed his taste and his fever and that desire to be a wrestler. He created an actual wrestling character on the real world. His roommates bought him a replica WWE title, and he came up with this character. Then, years later, he goes on Tough Enough, the first season, I think it was the first or the second season, with Josh Roberts, who's no longer with the company, and another guy.
Yeah.
And at first, they make The Miz a reporter for the company. Then they give him the opportunity to be a wrestler, and he main evented a WrestleMania. He's won several tag titles. He's won the World Championship title a few times, but the Intercontinental title is synonymous now with The Miz. I think they're going to bring some prestige back with this title. I think he's going to have a good title run.
Yeah.
And Dean Ambrose, as a former champion, of course, entitled to a rematch.
Yes.
So they're going to have their rematch at the new pay-per-view that they're creating, Great Balls of Fire.
It's funny that you mentioned Great Balls of Fire. Did you happen to see the promotion that they've been doing for that pay-per-view?
The old Jerry Lewis song.
Not
Goodness
only
gracious, great balls of fire.
Why don't they just get Jerry Lee Lewis to do the song to start the pay-per-view while they're at it? But that's not all. Did you happen to see the graphic for the poster, the original poster that they unveiled
No.
for this upcoming pay-per-view?
Is it going to make me want to vomit?
Well, let me put it this way. The original poster had the exact date and time, and when you see the image of fire, the balls of fire, it literally looks like a male anatomy.
Oh God.
So they had to change the poster all over again,
man.
to something that was a little bit more tasteful.
Anyway, the other results that took place, we had a mixed tag team match. Rich Swann, who of course is a native of Baltimore, partnered with Sasha Banks. The two of them actually had a great chemistry last night.
Yeah.
And they beat Noam Dar and Alicia Fox. It's one of those strange love triangles that I'm not going to get too much into, but it's ridiculous nonetheless. But Rich Swann and Sasha Banks won, with Rich Swann doing the poetry in motion, one of his patented finishing moves on Noam Dar.
Yep.
So they walked out dancing, of course. They're both good dancers, too. And they make it fun. Then they had a kendo stick on a pole match for the Raw Women's title.
Yeah.
That hasn't been done in quite a while. This is the first time for a women's championship they've done this type of match. Alexa Bliss, of course, was able to stop Bayley from using the kendo stick and was whacking at Bayley because Bayley hesitated. And people called into question Bayley's ability to actually do what it takes to be, to have that mean streak.
Yeah.
And she doesn't. She has that persona where she's very nice and very caring. Alexa's not nice. She is mean. She is ruthless. She has such aggression, it's not even funny. And she put it on display last night and did the DDT on Bayley to retain her title. Then we had the steel cage match for the Raw Tag Team Championship. The Hardy Boys. That is their element. Especially last night, did you see Jeff Hardy from the top of the steel cage doing a crazy spin move to knock out both Cesaro and Sheamus, who, by the way, those two are really good together as a tag team.
Yeah.
They were mortal enemies at one point. Remember, Mick Foley had them do like a best of 7 series match, but then he had the creative idea to make them a tag team. And it's actually worked for both of them.
Yep.
And they're getting more airtime. And, they're getting more opportunities than they were before.
Yeah.
So I think it's working out for them. And for the Hardy Boys to come back, I love seeing that nostalgia, back. I just want to see that remember the crazy guys that they had? Was it Insane Matt or something like that? Or Twisted Matt? Or
Oh, you mean
Broken Matt.
Broken Matt Hardy? From what I understand, they're supposed to be teasing the Broken Matt Hardy angle soon.
I hope they do, because that was fun when they were, I think that was at Impact when they did that. So, but they did lose the tag team championships that they actually won at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
But there's going to be a rematch because they are former champions. Former champions always get a rematch clause.
Speaking of tag teams, from what I understand, WWE is planning on teasing a reunion of the Shield.
That would be... I've heard this for years, the last year or so, that there were rumors about bringing Ambrose, Rollins, and Reigns together. But the problem with that is, right now, Ambrose has his, feud with The Miz. Rollins, we have no idea where his storyline's going. We'll find out tonight. And as for Roman Reigns, who is so hated by the fans, that would actually be detrimental for Rollins and Ambrose right now, considering the heat that Roman has. So I don't know if it's smart to do it at this point, but the fans, honestly, I'm getting really sick and tired of the hatred that they're putting towards Roman.
Yeah.
Personally. But anyway, they had the Cruiserweight title match. Neville defeated Austin Aries via submission with the Ring of Saturn. And Neville, his career has really skyrocketed since this Cruiserweight division has been put in place. And Austin Aries, he's also making some great strides with this.
It's good to see the young stars, some of the young stars at least, really get that push that they really deserve.
And the cruiserweights are fun to watch. They
Yeah.
were always fun. But WCW never fully utilized them like they should have. They really never gave them the chance. I think WWE is doing a much better job than WCW ever did with this division. And then the final match, the first ever Fatal 5-Way.
Yeah.
You had Samoa Joe, Finn Balor, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and Bray Wyatt. What a collection right there. Couldn't you think of any better competitors to put together in one match?
I don't think you can, to be honest with you.
And I love Finn Balor. I really like where this guy came from Ireland. He's fun. He's exciting. He has such death-defying moves, including the coup de grace, one of my favorite finishers. Samoa Joe should have been promoted to the main roster when he first signed with WWE. I don't know why they put him in NXT to have him then go to WWE, but now I kind of see why they did it. And it worked out. Roman Reigns, fans hate him. They still do.
I really don't get it. I just don't get it.
I don't either. Seth Rollins right now, the fans actually, this guy was the man who broke up the Shield, and now, it's amazing the transition. Babyface, the heel, somewhat babyface, heel again, now babyface. Then Bray Wyatt has been a heel since Jump Street. There's no way he's going to ever be a babyface. He just doesn't have the personality to be good. He's an evil, prophetic human being who just loves to...
Bray Wyatt, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Bray Wyatt is exactly who he started out as. A very sadistic, very, I don't want to say demented, but twisted. Very sadistic, very twisted, very diabolical character, which I've really grown to respect. I mean, I haven't seen him compete that much, but when I have seen her compete, when I've seen Bray Wyatt compete, I should say, when I've seen him compete, he really has impressed me quite a bit with his in-ring skills.
Oh, not only that, he does a lot of moves that people who weigh, he has better agility than people who weigh less than him have.
And he's 285 pounds. He's a big guy.
And he has such energy and great in-ring skills. And he has even the best flexibility, better than most yoga students, especially when he does that crazy, weird spider move, bridge thing that he does to intimidate his opponents. That is unreal. But Samoa Joe last night won the match with his patented coquina clutch on Finn Balor. And he took advantage of Finn Balor doing the coup de grace on Roman Reigns. So he was able to come in, and he won the match, and now guess what Samoa has a date with?
I couldn't even begin to tell you, so you're going to have to let me know.
The Beast Incarnate, Brock Lesnar.
Oh, boy.
In less than 5 weeks at Great Balls of Fire.
Now, that would be a really interesting match because not only is Samoa Joe a really big, powerful guy with a hell of a mean streak, but he's going up against a guy who has long made his mark putting people out of commission. I doubt that Lesnar would do anything like this with Samoa Joe. If anything, I think Samoa Joe could give him just as much of a challenge as The Undertaker did when they had their famous matches previously.
It's really, it's definitely, there's going to be a hell of a lot of intensity with the two of them. Samoa is not easily the type of guy to be intimidated whatsoever, and he makes no qualms. Like he said last night on Raw Talk, which took place after the Extreme Rules pay-per-view, I'm not a good person. I am not here to be your friend. I'm not here to be nice. I'm here for one purpose and one purpose only, to destroy people and get the title, basically. And
well, at least he's honest.
He's honest. The fact that he even said, "I'm a horrible person, and I don't care. And I don't care to be your friend." So
is this Lesnar saying this?
No, this is Samoa Joe saying this.
You could probably say the same thing about Brock Lesnar because he has not necessarily been the most cordial person to deal with. From what I understand, there was this one story about him at the airport with his bodyguard in the wee hours of the morning waiting for a flight. He actually leaned over to his bodyguard and said, because he spotted a couple of fans that were about to make his way make their way to try and meet him and greet him. Lesnar told the guy, you better keep those guys away from me because if you don't, I'm going to kill them.
That's really nice right there, considering these are the people who spend their hard-earned money on your products, on your T-shirts, who invest their time to watch you and really invest in what you do, and this is how you treat your fans like that. That's amazing how some people forget that without these fans, you wouldn't even have a career. Yes.
I honestly don't think he cares whether he has fans or not. He's just in the business of trying to do his job and make his money.
I understand that, yes, you are part responsible for why your career is where it's at because you have that skill, you have that ability in the ring, but you need the fans to be able to buy into what your character is, to invest in you. Because if you don't, as a wrestler, if you have no reaction from the fans, whether you're good or bad, if you don't have a reaction at all, you have nothing. You don't have a career whatsoever.
No,
So you have to have the fans reacting to you in either way in order to even have a successful WWE career. Now let's go into some other stuff. Adonis Stevenson in the light heavyweight division had a knockout of Andres Fanfare at the Bell Center in Montreal this past weekend. It got to the point where Fanfare's trainer, Virgil Hunter, who actually was at a fight the night before in Paris for another fighter, was able to make the flight to Montreal for Fanfare, and his fighter Fanfare was hurting so bad in the second round that Virgil Hunter decided just to throw in the white towel to the referee and tell the referee to call the match off. Because, let's put it this way, Adonis was hitting Fanfare with some heavy left-handers to the point where he was bruising him. And Fanfare was not even upset at the fact that the match was stopped. I think he applauded his trainer for doing that, so congratulations. Now his next fighter, who knows? As for the Indy 500 circuit, Takuma Sato, the first ever Japanese racer to win the greatest spectacle in auto racing.
the Indy 500.
Yep, and he just narrowly, by 0.2 seconds, defeated Helio Castroneves and prevented Castroneves from a record-tying fourth victory in this prestigious race. And afterwards, of course, like every winner, they get a glass of 2% milk and a kiss on the cheek from Miss Indy 500. And and the entire crew gets to kiss the Brickyard. It's always fun. And then Graham Rahal swept the Detroit Grand Prix doubleheader, the next race that took place in the Indy circuit. And then Jimmy Johnson yesterday won for the 11th time at Dover at the AAA Drive for Autism 400 after the latest restart. So congratulations to Jimmy Johnson. He's trying to win yet another Cup championship. In golf, of course, Jason Duffner, coming back from a 4-stroke deficit, ends up with a huge 30-foot par putt on the 18th hole to win by 3 shots with a 4-under 68 at the Memorial Tournament, and the second Ohioan to win it besides the legendary Jack Nicklaus. As for soccer, of course, Real Madrid defeats Juventus for the second straight year to win the UEFA Champions League final championship. Cristiano Ronaldo, the Portuguese captain of Real Madrid, with 2 of those goals. And they could have had a third one had he not miscalculated that header. And by the way, Juventus had to play without a man. In the 66th minute, one of their players gets red carded for a push on Sergio Ramos.
Yep. Going to baseball right now. Both the Yankees and the Mets have tonight off. They'll be playing tomorrow.
Thank God.
The Yankees have the Red Sox, and the Mets have an interleague series with the Texas Rangers. The Yankees still have the lead in the Eastern Division, but when you think about it, they're coming off a rather disappointing road trip against Baltimore and Toronto, where they finished the game under 500. At least the Yankees are making something interesting with their first 2 months of the season. And once again, it all boils down to one kid, and that's Aaron Judge. He's already torn the leagues to pieces in his first full season, and this despite the fact that they are still missing Greg Bird, who they were supposed to groom as their everyday first baseman, but he got hurt. So now they're using Chris Carter, he of the under 200 batting average, as the first baseman. This despite the fact that Jacoby Ellsbury, is having concussion problems and is now out of the lineup. And this despite the fact that, of all people, CC Sabathia has become their best pitcher. The guy who's in his walk year of his contract, he hasn't been terrible. I mean, he's won 5 games this year.
But let's look at Brett Gardner, too. Since the first day of May, he's had a .633 slugging percentage, third best in the major leagues. He's homered 12 at he's homered every 12 at-bats. That's pretty good considering not just Aaron Judge. And believe me, I got to give Aaron Judge a lot of credit for what he's done this year. But Brett Gardner has contributed as well to the team. And the rest of their division, David Price made his return and gave up only 3 hits with 7 strikeouts. Manny Machado has 12 home runs for the Baltimore Orioles, but he's hitting .212. He needs to get that average up better. The Rays, Logan Morrison, is flirting with a possible 900 OPS on the season. Mm-hmm. And the Blue Jays right now, since the beginning of May, they've gone 20-12, one of the best records in that span. So this division, the AL East, is very, very uber competitive.
Yeah, you also have Boston, which has some really decent pitching on paper. You have Baltimore, a team that's lights out in their batting order, but the pitching staff has been up and down at best. Toronto has been playing so much better now. And also, the 1 weak link in that division is Tampa Bay.
As for the AL Central, the Royals right now are really at a downturn. Even though they've somewhat improved, but they still cannot overcome their MLB worst April, where they went 7-16. And right now, I wouldn't be shocked if we're going to hear a lot of selling going on by the Royals at the trade deadline. The White Sox have been blistered for 49 runs in their 5-game losing streak. And we're hearing Hawk Harrelson is announcing the end of his broadcast.
Yeah, Ken the Hawk Harrelson, who's been one of the voices of the White Sox for many, many years. Next year will definitely be his last year.
And then Miguel Cabrera in the middle of May, despite the oblique injury when he returned, hitting over 300 with an OPS that's close to 1,000. And the Twins right now, Irvin Santana is one of the top 5 pitchers in ERA. And Miguel Sano, 8th in the majors with an OPS, 12.7 at-bats per home run.
And the Twins are one of the biggest surprises in Major League Baseball, especially after being at the bottom of the totem pole in that division for many years.
And Corey Kluber having a good 77 pitches and 6 scoreless innings coming back. In the AL West, the Athletics are looking like they're going to be trading. The Mariners right now, John Scarra is heading back to the DL. The Angels are going to be without Mike Trout for the next 6 weeks, but congratulations to Pujols on his 600th home run, including 3 homers last week. The Rangers right now are 2-10 their last 12 games, and Dyson is going on assignment considering that 10 ERA he had. And the Astros have a 7.19 winning percentage in their 10-game winning streak. They haven't had this good of a winning percentage in the longest time, and only 3 teams in Major League Baseball history have had a winning streak over 700. The Yankees, the 90 Yankees, and the 0-1 Mariners being 2 of those teams.
As for the Mets, they're coming off a disappointing homestand against the Brewers and the Pirates. When you think about it, this first 2 months has been a colossal disappointment. In addition to the injuries, the bullpen's a mess. They cannot hit in clutch situations like they're supposed to. And Terry Collins has been one embattled manager, although, quite frankly, I think it's unfair to him. And right now, the Eastern Division is strictly the Nationals to win. Everybody else is basically just looking for
somebody to blame. And
somebody to blame, and also looking to try and tread water. That's basically what they're trying to do right now. But the Central Division, easily the most competitive division in the National League. It's the Brewers and the Cubs, and then after that, the Cardinals and the Pirates, who've been basically treading water. The Western Division, it's basically down to the Western Division. It's now down to, of all people, the Diamondbacks and the Rockies and the Dodgers.
The Dodgers, one of the best closers, Kenley Jansen, without a single walk issued.
That's going to do it for us, folks. For everyone here, I'm Jamie.
And I'm Eric.
Good night, everyone.
Congratulations, Max Holloway, winning at UFC 212.